COVID-19 pandemic, and Typhoon Odette's aftermath. What used to be a paradise and haven for tourists wanting to experience Palawan's underground river has been wiped out. Typhoon Odette battered Purok Dalampasigan in Sitio Sabang, whose residents depend on fishing and tourism for livelihood. Fisherman Roderick Luzada says they did their best to save their boats but to no avail. Out of 87 tourist boats used to service the underground river, only 20 were recovered.
Yung alon talaga hindi namin talaga makalimot-limot. Hanggang ngayon, yung ibang mangingisda, halos ayaw pang pumasok dahil doon sa nangyari.
Some boats are no longer fit to be used, with some fishermen salvaging what's left of them and convert them to firewood.
Wala naman kami hanap buhay na eh. Simula ng COVID, ang inabot ng audit, mas kung sa COVID medyo nakabangon-bangon na kami. Umabot itong COVID na ito na. Parang hindi namin alam kung saan kami mag-uumpisa ulit.
Around 100 families have been directly affected and left with damaged houses and boats in this portion of Sitio Sabang. They complain about the lack of aid coming into their community. Aside from relief goods, they also appeal for materials to repair their boats and save their livelihood.
1990 po ako ditong dumating ng Sabang. So ngayon ko lang po naramdaman yung hinagpis ng kalikasan sa amin ng Sitio Sabang. Marami po talaga. Hindi lang po marami, kundi total po talaga kami ditong naapektuhan.
Zero talaga sir, as in zero. Kasi hindi makapaghanap buhay. Ang kailangan namin, maitayo na namin ang aming mga bahay. Mabigyan sana kami ng pangbiling yero.
Luscious trees in nearby mountains, which also used to be a tourist attraction, were all uprooted by the storm. Residents from Sitio Sabang also tell CNN Philippines that they used to earn at least 1,000 pesos on a daily basis from tourism activities. Then they shifted to full-time fishing when the COVID-19 crisis happened. But after Typhoon Odette and with all their boats gone, now they're at a loss on how they can rebuild from this terrible tragedy. Back to you, Pia.
Tristan, what are the local government's plans to help them rebuild their homes?
Pia, what we know so far is that the provincial government is now distributing at least 5,000 pesos cash assistance to residents affected by Typhoon Odette. But this has yet to reach the residents of Sitio Sabang. That is why they're appealing for help to private individuals or private groups, especially those who have visited the underground river in the past. And speaking of the underground river, we have yet to receive any update from city officials or provincial officials on the damage or possible assessment of the underground river, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Back to you.
Tristan Nodalada reporting from Puerto Princesa in Palawan. From one famous tourist spot to another, this time the surfing island of Siargao in Surigao del Norte, many business establishments, once bustling with tourists, now reduced to rubble. As Chrissy Di Matulak tells us, some believe it may take more than just a year before locals can get back on their feet.
When warned of a strong typhoon coming, some residents and business owners admit they did not heed the call. From their experience, residents say storms come and go in the island. But all of that changed when on the morning of December 16th, the winds only got stronger and trees were starting to kiss the sand.
At the beginning, we were not scared. We thought like it's like normal typhoon because we've been living here for the last 5 years. We were in Boracay before that, and we thought like, it's like strong wind, like keep on raining.
The stretch of the once busy streets of General Luna town is now in rubble, as structures were no match with nature's might and force. According to business owners like Ron Manalo, the typhoon could not come at a worse time. It came just when the island's tourism is starting to bounce back from the pandemic.
Para siyang two-punch combination, yung jab tsaka straight. So, si pandemic, it's been for a while now. And then, eto ngang si Odette. So, I think, mga a year or so, yun ang tsaka lang makakabalik ang Siargao.
Popular tourist destinations are in shambles. This used to be the Cloud9 Boardwalk, known worldwide as a surfing hotspot. Now it is left unrecognizable as it is left in ruins by the typhoon. The podium in Maasin where people would dive and take pictures was shredded to pieces. The surrounding trees have fallen. The famous coconut farm, which looked like a painting when standing from a hill, was left decimated. It will take time for these landmarks to recover, but people say team spirit in the island is so strong it will overcome any trial.
I'm very proud of everyone. I know this is a tough time and this was very unexpected. But seeing everyone, coming together and helping each other out, mapa-local man or the foreign locals who are here, nakakataba talaga siya ng puso seeing everyone, helping.
With the extent of the damage, it may take years to bring back the joy and vibe of this tropical paradise. People say this experience has taught them to take preventive evacuations more seriously, especially since nature's wrath is proven to be unpredictable. In Siargao Island, Chrissy de Matulac, CNN Philippines.
In the aftermath of Typhoon Odette, President Duterte suggested the summary eviction of residents living near coastlines. He now clarifies resettlement sites have to be provided first. The Interior Department suggests the creation of a task force for this government response. Amor Santos has the details.
Assessing the aftermath of Typhoon Odette, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año lamented that some residents were not supposed to be in harm's way, while President Duterte offered a rather contentious solution.
Yung pong batas dapat 40 meters eastment from the shoreline, wala po talagang dapat nakatira dyan. Lesson natin yan sa Irlanda.
Summary eviction.
A maritime law expert says it's not that simple. Under the Urban Development and Housing Act, local government units, in coordination with the National Housing Authority, shall provide relocation or resettlement sites for persons living in danger areas.
So if he's going to say summary eviction, he would better have something, a resettlement site ready for these people that he's going to be evicting.
In his talk to the people on Monday, President Duterte softened his tone and clarified there won't be any demolition without relocation. The DILG says it's a massive problem and suggests the creation of yet another interagency task force for a whole-of-government approach. Its first order of business determine the number of residents on coastal easements and which of them are priority. Betong Bakal says each LGU should use geohazard maps to identify vulnerable populations and safe resettlements. The Mines and Geosciences Bureau says its maps are up to date. According to one of its chief geologists, the maps were used in preparing for Typhoon Odette. Still, an early warning system does not guarantee zero casualties.
So if we can remove people from harm's way and provide them a better place to stay and they have their livelihood, why not?
The DILG admits this problem can't be solved with little time left under the Duterte administration. Betong Bakal says it should be on top of agenda of the next president.
We've known for years that we will be experiencing more extreme weather events. So there's no excuse to be still unprepared.
Amor Santos, CNN Philippines.
We're taking a quick break. When we return, the controversial Dolomite Beach, Manila Bay, reopens to the public after months of closure. And some people looking to welcome the upcoming New Year with a bang decry the rising prices of fireworks. Details next here on CNN Philippines. Stay tuned.
Welcome.
Sa kagamitan pagmanong sa sulog, ayaw mo ang problema. Matubag ka na sa Unifier Industrial Enterprises. Anak kanila ang mga dry chemical fire extinguishers o magpatigilan sa pagsugpo sa sulog sama sa mga fire hydrant, fire hose o bumanda. Ayaw mo ang problema. Dali na kung nalunay problema na sa sulog. Kung sa iyong paglagan, bisita sa ilang buwan o tawag sa cellphone number 0916-480-3267 o sa ilang telepono 088-881-3954. Ang Unifar Industrial Enterprises ay mutang sa Salsido Bukal na kulang sa Division Colombo na pasag ng bayan sa Cagayan de Oro. Si El Redondo nagtutulungan sa Unifar Industrial Enterprises mula sa iyang gabing balay, inibayan sa tanan sa Kamalipayang Pasko o pagmungahon bagong tuwing sa tanan. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all, ika ni Mr. Al Redondo.
Christmas is a season not only of rejoicing, but of reflection. Si Dr. Doris Fe Tagayuna sa unang distrito ng siyudad sa Cagayan de Oro, na matagbanay makasinati sa matuod na gugma o kalipay, ning kapanahunan sa Pasko hangtod na sa pagsugat sa bagong tuig. Ang iyang pag-ampo na mapuno sa milagro ang atong kasaulugan, uban sa dili marintang pangitabo hangtod sa hangtod, matagan nato sa bili. Sa gihapon, ang Pasko is the most wonderful time of the year. Malit tayong Pasko mula ang bagong tuig sa tanan. Mensahe hindi paabot ni Dr. Doris Fe Tagayuna sa unang distrito ng siyudad sa Cagayan de Oro.
Mga higala o mga mamuot na lungsuranon din sa siyudad sa Cagayan de Oro, kini si Councilor Roger Del Abaday, uban sa akong pamilya. Malimbaya kaninyong tanan. Merry Christmas and advance Happy New Year. Tiliwala sa atong pandemya nga atong yatubang karon, atong yapong sa ulugon ang kapaskuhan. Tungod kay gining panahon na, mao'y pagkatao sa atong labawang kagagahom na nagluwas sa kanato gikan sa kasalanan, nagipadala sa iyang mahal nga amahar. Let us celebrate Christmas with love, joy, and unity, even in times of crisis and in trouble. So once again, kini si Councilor Roger Abaday, greetings you. Merry Christmas and advance Happy New Year. Keep safe and be strong all the time.
This Christmas season, I want to greet our Lord Jesus Christ. Nung ta sa higpit, mawala na ang COVID-19, o mabalik sa mayong paglawas ng tanan ng sakit ni usaban pang mga balatian. Wala na tayo lugang katalagman, mga pa kanato, o unta kita makaanggo, makalibadmad sa atong mga sala na nahimo, natagan kita kaligon, kaisog, pagpakibatok sa mga tentasyon sa pagpakasala. O Merry Christmas, kanatong tanan, ang Ginoong Hesukristo, magawaban nato kanunay.
Ang panahon sa Pasko, mo'y panahon alang sa kalipay kasanya sa Kristohanong katilingban o sa tibok kalibutan. Atong sa ulugon ang Pasko o bagong tuig uban sa pag-amping, isan pa man ang panahon sa pandemya. Ang Pasko panahon sa paghinatagay, paghinahang panay, pagtigong sa pamilya. Higala mga barkada, ang Pasko mo'y paghandong sa pagkatao sa atong manunubos na si Ginoong Hesukristo. Si Mayor Alexis Esquina sa lungsod sa Baligasag, Misamis Oriental, uban sa iyang hamiling manay, itimbaya sa tanang taga-Baligasag, Misamis Oriental o sa tanan, sa malipayong Pasko o bulahang bagong tuig sa tanan. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year kaninyong tanan gikan ni Mayor Alexis Esquina sa lungsod sa Baligasag.
Wishing you a Christmas that's merry and bright. Si Joy Martinez sa Maryland, USA, nagnaot sa tanan alang sa safe, healthy, and relaxing holiday season. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year gikan kang Joy Martinez na nakabase sa Maryland, USA.
Si Nicky Nery sa lalawigan sa Camille, may parangal siyang masuko sa mga katawan sa Mindanao o sa Visayas, ilabi na sa mga napiguan sa kusog ng bagong ulit na miyapak sa Visayas o sa Mindanao. Ning panahon sa Pasko, panahon sa kalipay, kay mo ang pagkatao sa Panginoon na si Jesucristo. Bisan pa man sa pandemya nga atong sinabi sa tibok kalibutan. Dili nato wadon ang atong adlaw, malayo ta sa pagsandya uban sa pumarasakop sa prenay, mga higala o mga kaparintihan. Magsandya kita di para sa Pasko. Si Nicky Neri sa Laluinyo sa Camiguin, uban sa iyang hamiling bahay, itibaya sa tanang Camiguinon o sa tanan sa usa ka malipayong Pasko o mabuhahong bagong tuig. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all. Gikan ni Nicky Neri sa Lalawigan sa Camiguin.
Kini inyong konsihala Bebot Rodriguez. Taliwala sa kalisod kita magpadayon sa pag-ampok nga himsog ug malinawon. Ang pingkanunay, maayong Pasko mga igsuon. Bebot Rodriguez, ang probinsyana, may kaisog ug kasing-kasing sa usa ka inahan.
Mayong adlaw mga higala. Kini si Deputy Speaker of Cagayan de Oro 2nd District, Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. Panahon na usab kita magselebrar sa Pasko. Higayon kini sa pagpasalamat sa Ginoo sa grasya na ato nadawat ug pagpakita sa pagminahalay sa isig katao. Panahon sa kini nga kita magtinabangay karon padayon ta sa pagbangon gikan sa COVID-19 pandemic. Food box sa pag-ayuda pinansyal ato ihatag sa mga labing nanginahanglan. Katauhan una gayud sa tanan. Subli ini inyong Mr. Performance Rufus Rodriguez. Merry Christmas ug Happy New Year kanatong tanan. Daghang salamat.
Iha pa ang imong mga panalangin, kantaha ang mga awit sa Pasko ug buksi ang imong mga regalo. Hinaot ang grasya sa Diyos madagaya sa atong kinabuhi, dili lamang karong nga panahon kundi hangtod na sa hangtod. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a bountiful New Year. Mensahe nga gipaabot nila ni Mr. and Mrs. Rene Lulong Agcopra, ang nanag-iya sa Agcopra General Merchandise na himutang sa Kabulawan sakop sa lungsod sa Lagungulong, Misamis Oriental.
Ning panahon sa Pasko, atong ipakita ang atong pagmanahalay, kalimtan ang mga pagmahal, kayugot, kasuko sa atong isikatawo. Bisan pa man sa pandemya o bag-ong migo nga bagyong Odette nga nakahatag sa problema o midaot sa kinabuhi o kabtanan sa daghan natong mga kaigsuonan sa Visayas o Mindanao. Dili mamahimong babag sa atong pagsaulog sa Pasko. Maglipay kita kay Pasko na. Si Board Member Bibing Lumadag sa lalawigan sa Misamis Oriental itimbaya sa tanan sa usa ka malipayong Pasko ug balahang bag-ong tuig sa tanan. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year kaninyong tanan. Gikan ni Board Member Bibing Lumadag sa Misamis Oriental.
Merry Christmas! No matter what happens in life, make sure you don't stop believing in yourself. May this wonderful time of Christmas and New Year fills your life with happiness, health, and wealth. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Have a nice time. A message from Arlene Katayo-Kureiben from Germany. Si Arlene Katayo-Kureiben na taga-Baliwagan, Balinasan, Misamis Oriental, usa na ka-certified podologist sa Germany. Nag-specialize siya sa mga diabetic patients and circulatory disorders of the lower extremity. Subli sa tanan, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Arlene Katayo-Kureiben of Germany.
Means yet another attraction in the city of Manila. The Dolomite Beach in Manila Bay reopens today, but you need to register online before you can take a stroll on the artificial white sand beach. Our Stanley Gaheta shows us the way.
The weather is fine and the sea breezes perfectly over Manila Bay. This is how people describe the ambience after experiencing the Dolomite Beach as it reopens after months of closure. Last October, a crowd of more than 100,000 visited the controversial Dolomite Beach. That's why the management decided to temporarily close the area. While they said earlier it would reopen to the public next year, they decided to reopen this holiday season.
Specifically, we want public to enjoy the holiday season, and nagkataon na itong ideal time, 28 up to 29. We considered everything, especially yung mga protocols natin and as far as pandemic is concerned.
Days before the New Year, the Dolomite Beach here in Manila Bay reopens, but compared to previous months, the number of visitors coming in the beach is now controlled. Despite the threat of the new Omicron variant of COVID-19, people still want to visit this 140-meter-long beach. Visitors love sightseeing and taking of pictures with their loved ones here. Most of them will return to work by early January.
Narinig na namin yun sa kasama ay sa katabi ng bayan na nagja-jogging, naka-open daw ngayon. Tumakbo kagad kami. Iba talaga yung makakapasok ka, di ba? Medyo ma-enjoy mo talaga ang sarili mo.
This visitor from Tarlac decided to see the beach first before meeting her friend.
Noon pa, may mga nagpupunta ng tao dito, sabi ko sa mister ko, minsan pasyalan natin.
There are available portalets in the area with enough authorities to monitor that visitors follow minimum health protocols and physical distancing. The management also prohibits littering, bringing of pets, and even swimming.
Be very safe in maintaining yung security at kasi of course yung kapakanan ng ating mga kababayan.
The beach is open for vaccinated ones aged 12 years old and up. It only accepts 200 walk-in visitors and 100 registered online visitors per batch, which lasts for 1 hour. The link and QR code for online appointment system are posted on DENR's Facebook page. It is open for public from 6:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. until tomorrow and will resume on January 4, 2022. Stanley Gaete, CNN Philippines.
The husband of the country's fourth Omicron case tests positive for COVID-19. The health department says the man is a 37-year-old Filipino who arrived from the U.S. with his wife on December 10th on a Philippine Airlines flight. He is in isolation and his sample will undergo genome sequencing. The DOH is determining the people whom the couple came into contact with on the flight. State-insured PhilHealth calls on private hospitals to reconsider their plan to conduct what they call a PhilHealth holiday. The Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines earlier urged its members to temporarily stop accepting PhilHealth claims between January 1st to 5th of next year. The group says the move is to show support for hospitals that have decided to cut ties with PhilHealth over unpaid claims. But PhilHealth says it is people who will suffer the consequences. The state health insurer adds hospitals that are supposedly planning to disengage have not submitted official documents. The insurer also maintains it is working to fast-track its settlement of claims. Stayed straight ahead on Newsnight, Filipinos heading to Bocaue, Bulacan, known as the fireworks capital of the country ahead of the new year. But buyers are disappointed with the increase in prices. More after the break.
Kung makamit ang target kaya pinalawig ng 2 pang araw ang kampanya. Tila sinasalamin ito ang kabuang suliranin sa vaccine rollout. 2 ang itinuturong balakid ng gobyerno. Una ay ang mababa umanong kumpiyansa ng mga Pilipino sa bakuna. Pero batay sa mga huling survey, unti-unti na itong tumataas. Pangalawa, ang pagiging mapili ng mga Pilipino sa brand ng bakuna. Marami kasi ang mas tiwala sa mga bakunang gawa sa Amerika at Europa. Pero sa kabila nito, mas marami pa rin ang biniging bakuna ng ating gobyerno mula sa China.
The best vaccine is the one that is currently available. And what is the currently available vaccine? We have only Sinovac. So ito po, tangkilikin natin. Supportahan po natin ito.
Isa pang problema ang pagkalat ng maling impormasyon sa social media tungkol sa COVID-19 vaccines.
Since the very beginning, ang daming fake news na lumalabas. No? Pero ang importante is lahat ng bakuna na nasa Pilipinas na ginagamit natin, epektibo, lalong-lalo na para i-prevent yung severe and critical disease. Ibig sabihin, kapag ikaw ay bakunado, hindi ka ma-hospital at mas importante, hindi ka mamamatay. Yun ang pinaka-importante, no? May mga breakthrough infection, no? Lalo na ng Delta surge at posibleng magkaroon yan pag Omicron. Pero ang importante, kapag bakunado ka, hindi ka ma-hospital at most likely, lalo na, hindi ka mamamatay.
Umaasa ang Health Department na mababakunahan ng 70% ng ating populasyon sa first quarter ng 2022. Katumbas yan ng 77 milyong Pilipino. Sa ngayon, binabakunahan na rin ang mas nakababatang populasyon at namimigay na ng booster shot o third dose para mas protektado ang publiko.
2021 was supposed to be the year movies and audiences returned to theaters, and it was, sort of. No Time to Die, one of the first pandemic-delayed films in early 2020, finally debuted in October 2021, while Black Widow debuted in theaters and streaming. Both were among the year's top-grossing films, but with ticket sales far below pre-pandemic blockbusters. In a survey of pre-pandemic moviegoers, some of those still staying away cited safety and price concerns. Safety on movie sets became a hot topic in October after an accidental shooting on the set of the indie film Rust killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins. As the investigation into the tragedy began, Dwayne Johnson and others declared their intentions to ban real guns from future film sets.
I'm extremely fortunate to be able to do what I love for a living.
Chloe Zhao became the first woman of color to win the Best Director Oscar for Nomadland, then leaped to the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Eternals. Lin-Manuel Miranda also had a good year. His first Broadway hit, In the Heights, reached theaters. He voiced the title character in Vivo and wrote original songs for that film and for Encanto, and made his feature directorial debut with Tick, Tick, Boom. On the small screen, the South Korean survival drama Squid Game had audiences buzzing, as did Mike Richards, who won the job of hosting Jeopardy, then lost that gig and his executive producer job amid controversies which began over his having been named in multiple discrimination lawsuits at another game show. Richards has said the complaints in the suits do not reflect the reality of who I am or how we worked together.
It calls to me.
Tony Bennett's family revealed the legendary singer has been living with Alzheimer's disease. He marked his 95th birthday by joining Lady Gaga on stage for what his family said would be his final performances. Love was in the air in 2021 for singers and The Voice judges Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton, who tied the knot 6 years after meeting on that show. And for Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, who got back together nearly 20 years after Bennifer first set the gossip columns ablaze.
I was so excited.
And it was a big year for Britney Spears. The singer spoke out for the first time about her court-ordered conservatorship, calling it abusive and declaring, "I just want my life back." In November, a judge terminated the conservatorship, which had lasted for 13 years. And a few weeks later, Spears celebrated her 40th birthday. In Hollywood, I'm David Danda.
Network Incorporated, DXKO. 13 usos na bawal sa inyong radyo. RPN DXKO, ang Radyo Ronda, TV sa Latalan sa Cagayan de Oro. Sigahan na may balaong sa katawan, ang bawang serbisyo sa tanan. Ang RPN DXKO Radyo Ronda, sakop sa KBP, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
He once served as councilor of the City of Manila and led the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission. He ran for senator in 2013 and 2016 but lost. Now, Greco Bejica is having a third shot at it. Joining us live for an up-close conversation, senatorial aspirant Greco Bejica. Greco, thank you so much for joining us. Your father was the PDDS party's original presidential candidate, substituted by Senator Bongo, and now has withdrawn from the race. Are you disappointed that Senator Go is no longer running for president?
Well, the announcement, of course, surprised us. It was not part of, although we were expecting something, a decision, we were expecting it to be to turn the other way around. However, things happen as it is, and we as a party are set to sit down, talk about it, together with our principals, our leaders, President Duterte and Senator Bongo, to determine the next steps for our party. Dahil, Senator Bongo, saying that he will be withdrawing, will affect, of course, the campaign. So we have to, we have to determine our next steps.
So what is the next step? Who will the PDDS now support and endorse for president?
Yeah, that's exactly the main agenda of the meeting. So I rushed back to Manila. I was at the north organizing our party. But then because of this, things have happened. We have to come back and sit down and seek audience and a meeting with President Duterte and Senator Bongo, anytime soon. So, yeah, so the party has to...
Greco?
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, the party has to talk about it as a party.
Okay. So will PDDS endorse the candidate that President Duterte and Senator Bongo will endorse, or could PDDS go its own route, could endorse another candidate?
No, definitely not. The PDDS is the President and Senator Bongo's party. It was organized to pursue the aspirations of the President, even after his term has end. So, of course, yung sasabihin niya po ay maging importante sa tatahakin ng PDDS, who is still supporting and is still giving his 100% support to the President and Senator Bongo.
All right, Greco, let's take a look at your mandate in government over the past few years as former Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission Chair. How many government officials have been relieved of their duties and cases filed against them due to corruption?
Cases have been filed. 154 cases has been filed against high-ranking government officials. Over 1,000 cases has been investigated, and 13,000 reports and complaints has been acted upon by the PACC. The PACC has only jurisdiction over presidential appointees when reports against corruption extends up to the barangay and elected officials. So that made it very, very difficult for us to act. Act on most cases, especially those that did not belong to our jurisdiction. We have to endorse this and seek support from other agencies. And these are one of the major reforms that we would like to bring into the Senate, is to expand jurisdiction, give more power, propose anti-corruption police force that will strengthen the anti-corruption campaign of the president or of the country. the PACC it has only very limited power because its power only stemmed from the powers of the president.
Right.
So, but just the same, all this work and the anti-corruption campaign that was led by the president, implemented by the PACC, produced fear in the hearts of all government officials, whether it is appointed or elected within our jurisdiction or not, to get into corruption. There is still corruption, don't get me wrong. However,
Yes.
it is not as bad as it was before.
Yeah.
Kung baga ako ngayon, tagong-tago.
But of course, the president is the most powerful person in the country. So you also have extra powers to basically put people behind bars, Greco. And when we posted on social media that you were our guest, there were comments that you were just a small fry catcher and the PACC's initiatives are just lip service, all just talk and no action. What do you have to say to this?
Well, those are not true dahil records will bear for us, Ang mga inimbestigahan po namin are not small fry. They were secretaries, undersecretaries, assistant secretaries. Those people that the president would read would mostly be PACC results. Hindi namin kayang magpakulong dahil hindi po kami korte. We are authorized to recommend to the president and endorse or file cases with the ombudsman after we have investigated the case. Yun po ang pinakmalaking problema dito sa justice system natin. Pagkatapos namin imbestigahan, ipapasa namin sa ombudsman para imbestigahan ulit yung imbestigahan na namin. Tapos ipapasa na naman nila sa sandigan para imbestigahan ulit yung imbestigahan namin dalawa. Dapat po ang mga opisina kagaya namin ay magkaroon ng kapangyarihan, pakulong na yung mga naimbestigahan na po namin. At apat po ang opisina namin ay magkaroon ng opisina sa lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno hanggang sa barangay at LGU, kagaya po ng inilatag namin nung I was PACC chairman, nalalagyan ko po ng anti-corruption committees ng lahat po ng offices sa gobyerno.
So Greco, how do you plan to change this if you become senator? Because you've recommended all of these corrupt officials, no? And you've passed it on to the ombudsman. But we haven't really seen any big fish behind bars. What will you do if you were senator to change this system?
You can do it through law na po. Nakaset up po pong structure dyan, like the Office of the Ombudsman. So through the Senate, then you can propose laws and strengthen offices like the PACC. We have jailed through entrapment, working together with the NBI and the Philippine National Police, 24 government officials. Po, if we had the power to jail everyone, then lahat po ng-imbestigahan namin, nakulong po yan. And you can ask po ang mga Bureau of Customs, BIR, BI, DPWH, ang dami-daming proyektong nagawa niyan, build, which is, of course, a result of a serious and strong anti-corruption campaign. The BIR and the Bureau of Customs, marami pa rin pong corruption dyan. Pero it is only this term that they have continually hit their revenue targets every month for over a year because money or revenue is going straight to the to government coffers, no longer in the pockets of corrupt.
Because Greco, there are a lot of critics who are saying that yes, these corrupt officials are taken out from their positions, but they're reappointed or recycled to other positions.
Well, there were officials na ganun po, pero hindi po lahat. Those officials that were reappointed, kasi po kami mga ano lang po kami yung recommending lang po, recommendatory lang po ang PACC. So if our principal does not agree with our findings, yun lang po ang kapangyarihan namin. Pero ito pong mga opisyal na to na sinasabi nila nga na-reappoint, hindi po nawala ang kaso niyan sa amin at naisampa po namin sa Office of the Ombudsman yan. If we believe na sa amin may kaso sila like Secretary Duque, Secretary La Peña, sasabi lang nire-recycle. Pero as far as we were concerned, we gave our report, we gave our recommendation, and then it was forwarded to the Ombudsman for the case has been filed. And yun lang po ang limit talaga ng kapangyarihan namin. We want to do more. Yun nga sabi namin, nag-uusap kami ng Pangulo, sabi ko, boss, kulang talaga ang kapangyarihan. Kung if we just had the power to send these guys to jail, they'd be all in jail right now.
All right.
Sabihin mo at gawin mo sa Senado.
So, Greco, if you become senator, In your view, how should the government fight this war on drugs? Should it continue to adopt an ironclad, no-nonsense anti-drug policy?
Definitely, sir, that's the way to go. And in the proper implementation of RA 9164 or 9165, or the anti-drug abuse, setting up the anti-drug abuse councils down to the barangay anti-drug abuse council and the anti-drug board of the local governments will strengthen the fight against corruption. Against drugs. Dalawa po kasi yan, yung suppression, yung nakikita natin tukhang, at yung intervention ito po yung type, ito po yung organizing the communities to come together and fight corruption, conducting your anti-drug campaign and strengthening, empowering the families, the local governments, the barangay to monitor and operate anti-corruption, anti-drugs operations po, both suppressive and interventive.
But Greco, a lot of the people have been caught for drugs, whether users or sellers, suppliers, have been basically, our kababayans in the marginalized part of society. If you are a senator, will you also push for the drug users and the drug suppliers who belong to the upper echelons of society?
Lahat po, sir. The law does not distinguish between rich and poor, male and female. Pag sinabi po kasi nila mas marami nahuhuli for drugs na maliliit, ganun din po ang corruption eh. Bakit mas marami nadadampot at nahuhuling maliit? Because we do not distinguish between high ranking or low ranking. If you get into corruption, then we catch you. Or get into drugs, then we catch you. The thing is, mas marami po talaga mga kababayan natin ang physically na mahihirap, physically umahawak ng droga at nagtatransact, rather than the big bosses and the thugs that transact drugs or get into corruption without actually holding money.
So what will you do, Greco, to find out if these rich people are holding the drugs? Because like what you said, ang nakikita lang ng pulis, ang humahawak ng droga are our poor kababayans. How will you try to find out that the rich are also holding drugs or are using drugs?
We have to cure the law, These rich people use money to transact drugs and also to corrupt. And our laws and the equipments of the Philippine National Police, offices like us, does not have the power and the authority and the equipments, to follow the money. That's what I'm saying. You want to know who's into drugs? You follow the money, but then restricted po ang ating batas. So we have to cure that law for people and for people who gets involved with drugs, who gets involved in corruption. That law should not apply to them. Ito pong yung mga bank secrecy laws should not apply to them because they're a threat to national security. They're criminals.
And of people use drugs because they don't have jobs, Greco. And right now, more than 4.5 million of our kababayans do not have jobs, have lost their jobs because of the pandemic. And how will you try to jumpstart the economy and create jobs through legislation if you become senator?
Thank you, sir. We really need to address job creation and development and bring up the economy. There are many ways. We have to cure economic and trade policies. We have to strengthen the fight against corruption and red tape because when red tape and corruption goes down, business and development goes up, projects goes up, more services go up, more businesses come in. Number two, when I was in Berkeley I was studying in Berkeley, the Venture Capital Fund was a very famous system in the United States that put in money for businesses to invest in entrepreneurship, to invest in medium businesses. We can bring that here if we can simplify and consolidate and digitize, properly implement the ARTA law, strengthen the ARTA law, strengthen the anti-corruption fight. These businesses and these funds will be available para po bumalik ang negosyo, bumalik ang trabaho ng tao. And thirdly, we have to work on our taxes. I've been talking about this from 2013. The 10% flat tax will lower down tax rate and simplify it, bring more revenue for people and more revenue for government. So these are some of the economic and trade policies that I wish, if God allows, to me to bring to the Senate.
All right, Greco, we will have to take a short break and we will continue this up-close conversation with you. And also up ahead, an explosion at Mount Pinatubo. We'll have the details next. And President Duterte commemorates Bonifacio Day for the second and last time in his 6-year term. Keep it right here on CNN Philippines. News you can use, news you can trust. This is the final word on CNN Philippines. I'm Rico Hizon. Still with us tonight for an up-close conversation, senatorial aspirant Greco Belgica. Greco, for this particular portion, you'll only have to answer me with a yes or a no. No explanations. Let's start off. Do you favor easier public access to the salin of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress?
Yes.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes.
Do you favor the reimposition of the death penalty for drug-related crimes?
Yes, for all heinous crimes, including corruption.
Do you favor resuming peace talks with the communist rebels?
Yes, for all Filipinos, yes.
Should a sitting president be allowed to run for the Senate?
Yes.
Should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
Yes.
And finally, Greco, your final word on why our kababayan should elect you to the Senate. You have 30 seconds.
Sa atin pong mga kababayan, una-una, vote wisely, know your candidates. Alamin niyo po ang kanilang nakaraan, alamin niyo po ang kanilang nagawa na kanilang track record at kanilang pong plano. The future is in your hand. Ako po, I've been in government service for 20 years and I will bring a stronger anti-corruption campaign in the Senate and make sure na lahat ng iniimbestigahan natin ay napukulong at napaparusahan. At kung pagpapalain ng Diyos, ibabalik po natin ang parusang kamatayan sa magdumal na krimen at korupsyon. Maraming salamat po.
Senatorial aspirant Greco Belgica, thank you so much for joining us on Up Close.